Hi, everyone. I am here. Let me just. Um, it's so funny. I was just checking my configuration with Facebook because it hasn't been allowing to transmit publicly my lives, and now it just showed me that I'm just going. Like the video is just going private to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, right? So the good thing is that it's going live on YouTube.
Okay.
And uh, welcome, Lily.
Hi, thanks so much for having me, and welcome to everybody who's in the chat. I see we got Victor there and a couple people. Yeah, thanks so much for inviting me. I've been seeing your stuff on YouTube, and you've been doing some really interesting things. We seem to both be adventurers, so I'm excited for this conversation.
Likewise, yeah. Well, I just want to say also thank you for being here. I think I told you, well, actually, I don't think. I'm sure that I told you before, getting together, that I had a couple of dreams with you that were very potent, showing very specific things regarding to some star systems and very encoded through the tortle, the tortle code.
Mhm.
So yeah, it have been a couple of them now, and they were randomly coming to me. It's not like I had talked to you before or watch a video from you, like just a normal day, like, and then all of a sudden, kind of dreams, visions, and which leads us to part of what we will be approaching to
Yeah.
today, which is how the how the communication with other races, galactic races, can
Mhm.
be taken into a more advanced form.
Mhm.
How this is why even the title, Advanced Communication Protocol,
Mhm.
because I do believe that we are moving from a stage where we were just moving out of visualizing something
Mhm.
now to truly experiencing it very vivid and at a
Mhm.
physical level, you know, like
Mhm.
that level of contact. We can see it collectively speaking through spaceships, which have always been there.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, something happens when we are talking about collectively speaking that it goes major into core timelines and bringing into a whole new era, So I,
Mhm.
yeah, tell me. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I mean, especially right now, I definitely feel things are picking up and things are ramping up, right? The Lyran codes are coming in hot. We're getting super Lyran activated right now. That's been some of my messages that I've been receiving lately with I believe a lot of the grid workers going around on the planet, we're working at like acupuncture points on the planet and upgrading the grid. And I was even receiving messages whenever I was in Mount Shasta recently that the portals and hotspots, some of them were moving, like the grid was moving, which makes sense. Like when you think about it, the poles, shifting a bit, but they're like the whole thing is moving and morphing, and we're helping to repair certain points on the grid, and just we're turning it on. Basically, we're turning it back on. We're upgrading it. It's upgrading us. The stars and star beings are reacting to that, communicating. I feel like communication is ramping up. And just the other night, I was out with Tyler and a few others at a ranch here in Sedona, and we had like a fleet appear, and they told me beforehand to get my camera ready. I used to have that kind of contract with them where I would go out and they would let me film them. They don't always want to be filmed. Sometimes they will go out of their way to make sure that you don't film them. I've had it happen plenty of times where I've seen them and I've taken out my phone and they disappear and they say, "Don't film us right now." But this, they really wanted to show up, and I felt the big Lyran. Why I'm saying this is because Tyler brought up the Lyran codes,
Yeah,
and that
sure.
some of the messages I'm getting, it felt a lot of Lyran energy as well as other galactic races. But the message seemed very celebratory and like we're being upgraded right now, and communications ramping up, and things are just ramping up. So, and the veil is thinning, of course.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And if we look at this at a quantum physics level, like without entering into like the whole aspect of what it is, it's mainly, like when something huge is going to shift, everything accelerates.
Right.
Like that which is passing through that black hole of transformation is going to accelerate so much that it's what actually enables that transformation process. And that's how it feels, that's how it feels. A lot of people call it the ninth wave. Like if we go into different tones of the universe at a macro scale, then the one that has been just incorporated has been the ninth wave, which brings to highly extent peaks and then downs. But the interesting thing is that as high as it goes and equivalently as low as it goes, within it's generating a cohesive state in between both of them. It's like they are non-separated. It's not like everything is so beautiful and perfect. It's like I'm feeling in the best timeline, and I can also feel like deep things trying to pull.
Yeah.
And with the same intensity, nevertheless, what continues pulsing as the major axis is precisely the high peak. And I'm saying this because if we see the universe behaving through cycles, not in a circular form, yet in a continuum, then we'll see that those cycles, it's pretty evident that it's now our cycle, of that huge and marvelous timeline to be manifested, due
Right.
to the past, what has been happening, all those years of amnesia, of not remembering. And
Right.
which leads me to, you were talking about the Lyrans. I think, and you were also mentioning this in one of your shows, that most of us have like this huge connection with the Lyrans.
Mhm.
And that remind me of an artifact that we well, it just got home,
Wow.
and it's a book made of stones, and it was sent to me. I will share a video right now. So, and it came to me on the Lion's Gate, and the
Wow.
cover is a lion.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
so
yeah.
weird. I just did an activation with my Patreon group where we were connecting with the Lyrans, and we were transported to this kind of place that was like beyond time and space. It was in its own realm. It almost reminded me of like not the Akashic records, but kind of, or like the halls of Amenti or something like that. It was just this space, and there was this female lion being as we stepped through the portal with our consciousness we did this, but we were not in our bodies. And she took out a book, and we put our hands on this book, and we were receiving just quantum information and codes that was connecting with our DNA for this time. So that's really crazy. You found a book with a lion on it. Have you meditated with it yet? What happened?
Well, we were clearing it first because,
Yeah.
as you know, all these pieces of power can be very targeted.
Yeah.
So there are many layers to clear, and now it's clear. This is why I'm going to share the video, but in a little bit. And it has also codes. It has also codes.
Right.
It doesn't glow in the dark as other pieces do. This
Oh, other
green
pieces do?
fluorescence. Yes, I can
Wow.
also share images. Actually, I spoke about this in Las Vegas at the last conference I spoke
Wow.
at. And the thing is that this, even though this one doesn't glow in the dark, it has the codes. And you said something super important, which is quantum level upgrades.
Right.
And this is a message that comes so strong, and it's coming on so strong to many people now. This is why everyone is more open to quantum physics, or to physics through the quantum field,
Mhm.
because the moment that we acknowledge that we are not in the 3D, we
Mhm.
are moving immediately onto the holographic field and being interconnected to the wholeness. It's like how we get to see these artifacts. When we think that we are mass, there have been heavy anchors imprinted in this simulation that automatically isolates us from source. Why?
Mhm.
Because we are experiencing ourselves as finite beings.
Right.
And even
Separation.
exactly, and even though we are aware now that and say, yeah, we're infinite and we're connected to source and so forth, if we don't experience that day by day, like perceiving ourselves as a hologram, then
Mhm.
we are not moving forward into that bridge of actually interconnecting to the space and doing all those configurations. And I want to hear you because I know that I'm ringing some bells there.
I'm just laughing because if you like, Tyler gets upset with me sometimes because I'm like half the time like I'm not here, like I'm like in a quantum reality.
Yeah, no, no, yeah, that's precisely what I was tuning into, that this rings a bell to you because you are experiencing it.
Yeah,
You
all the time.
know?
It's hard to like, it's like you're playing in both fields a lot of
I
the time. You're kind of switching back and forth.
I
Like
know.
you can be talking with somebody and you see something behind them, or you get a download over here, and like it's just a whole thing. So you're kind of like maybe straddling different well, you're integrating this quantum reality, I guess, or becoming more aware of it, embodying more of it. But yeah, it's kind of funny, like you're playing like both fields though at the same time.
But that's the goal. Actually, that's the goal because that's what creates our multidimensional nature. Being playing back and forward in all realms. The thing is to stay in axis. If at some point you feel more drawn into a reality that it's not what you're experiencing here now, then
Yeah.
it's like a red flag. But otherwise, I get it because I'm also very much in that way. It's like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, but
And females, I feel like males are definitely intuitive and stuff too, but I think females, it's just like kind of an automatic that's just a little bit, I don't know. I feel, you know what I'm trying to say. Females are usually a bit more like that.
yeah, yeah,
Males can be too, though, for sure.
yeah. But well, we are definitely bringing in something into this reality, because let's say that we are portaling all the time. We are that manifestation, that physical manifestation of the womb. So even women and men can be portals, all of us, and stargates.
Yeah.
Due to that physical nature, we're portaling more and more, like funneling all that information.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, so this is one of the messages, that I am getting with the contact that I have with the specific ET races. I mean, it's not like I'm married to just some of them, but we know how this is, how this moves, like based on the resonance that you're emitting, that you will be connecting with some of them. Unless you're ambassador to a specific race, then you will regardless have always contact with them. But
Yeah.
yeah.
That's interesting, because I see a lot of people who they kind of stick to like one person or one race. I've noticed, and I'm the same way. I speak to a variety of beings. I have different contacts. I have a couple major contacts. Like Kay is an inner Earth contact of mine. She's from like a parallel Earth, higher density, I think another timeline. It's kind of hard for me to explain and fathom, but she's also a descendant of Atlantean Lemurians. And then I also believe she's actually another version of me, just in like a other dimensional reality. And then Talia is an Andromedan me, which you'd think of like Andromedan Council, the light blue beings, no hair. But she's more like boots on the ground chick. Like she goes and she's out mingling. Like she's not hanging out in one star system or one specific ship. Like she's out doing all sorts of missions, and works with a conglomerate of different beings. So she's me from the future. That's the first being that I had contact with. So, but then I speak to other types of beings. So yeah, I think it kind of depends on where you're at, where you're resonating, and maybe your soul contracts, as well. Oh, you're muted. I'd also like to hear about your contact too, if you want to share anything about that. I kind of find that fascinating.
If I unmute first, then I can tell you, right? Otherwise, how? Yeah, what you were saying, for me, it's a unified consciousness. Sometimes that, like this reality can be so intricate, like they designed it in a very complex form that it's routed to simple fundamentals of the universe. Like, for instance, it's like the marriage itself,
The what?
the marriage, like the contract of marriage with one person.
Yeah.
And how they influence someone's state of consciousness that believes that loyalty needs to prevail in that very same form, and just communicating with one race or another. And I'm just saying, in a very like discrete form, how all these institutions, I'm not having anything against, like marriage or anything like that. I'm just putting an example,
Right.
of how the limited form of perception can be engaging many many of the forms in which we actually interact with our reality, even if we're talking about just speaking to one galactic race or another one. For me, in my case, I started experiencing ever since I was a little girl, like I have a lot of connection with the with plasma beings. Some people would call them the shining ones, yet I believe that there is a lot of interjection to that word. Like you listen to shining ones and a lot of people immediately will bring like Anunnaki, or and like plasma beings or light beings are like naturally or fundamentally all, at different scales. But the ones that I'm talking about are even ourselves from the future.
Right.
I
think that's a lot of it. That is a lot of it.
Yeah. And we are just communicating with ourselves, like saying, okay, we need to bring in some codes to activate very specific DNA. And that's me, like I have a lot of connection with them. Also a lot with like based on Earth, a lot of inner Earth species, a lot, all kind of races, because I do believe that we cannot generalize, or if you generalize, then you're missing one aspect of the truth. It's like if you categorize all human as evil, so. And mainly something that I have been experiencing a lot is if the fundamentals of the universe are accurate, then it all depends on the frequency that we're coming from. If we're coming from a space of love, then we will be, like amplifying that
Right.
regardless.
And
So
attracting that.
exactly, exactly. And off Earth, I have a lot of connection with Syrian beings, Lyrans, from Cetus, the constellation of the whale. They call it,
Oh.
they are part of the Council of Five. And
Ah, I just got chills. They pop in for me sometimes too. They're very ancient.
yes, yes, they're
Very-
one of the founder races.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing is that they have such an important mission here, which is activating all the cetacean grid or the whales grid or not because it is the constellation of the whale, which is not even the original name that it has,
Mhm.
yet through the capabilities that this emerther, which is the name of that race, have, you know.
Yeah. You know what's super funny? Can I share a funny story?
Yes, sure.
Well, recently there was a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff about like gray, like, races, right? And I've had contact with positive grays. I've also seen negative grays. I haven't had so much interaction with negative grays, but I've kind of seen them poking in and out, and I'll tell them to screw off or whatever. It doesn't happen very often, but I've ran into it a few times. The emerthers, they come in for me sometimes, but it was in the middle of like this kind of controversy. And of course, you also have these psyops to get you afraid of certain races and stuff like that. And I was feeling the emerthers and seeing them, and they look kind of a little bit more gray-like.
Yeah.
Not perfect gray, but they do look a little bit more gray-like. And I go through a big vetting process with anytime I'm contacted, or especially with like an unfamiliar race or whatever. But it was in the middle of all this controversy, and I'm just like, no. And I was just like ignoring them. And I was in the middle of a jog, and which was mean of me. That was mean of me. But the psychological operations that go on with it. There was a big controversy at the time, like I was saying. But I'm like jogging in the middle of jogging, and then one projected itself right in front of me. Now it was not like physical, but I could see them almost like a translucent kind of a hologram, or like, I was seeing into their dimension, but it projected itself right in front of me as I'm jogging. And he's like, "You can't ignore me. I am on your side." And I was like, "Okay, you got my attention. You got my attention." That was the only time I had kind of an issue where I was just kind of trying to avoid it just because of the rumors and all that. But yeah, they're a very, very ancient race. I believe they come in and they're monitoring a lot too. They'll give us guidance, but they're also just kind of like monitoring, and they can intervene more than say like the Federation can, or some of these other beings. So yeah, that's really interesting. But I thought that was a funny story.
It is. It is. And I believe that it will help a lot of people, a lot of the tribe that is watching this transmission, because how many times we prive ourselves from connecting at a deeper level with beings or information or so forth, because they move so heavily, the simulation matrix moves so heavily in the fear imprint.
Right.
That's what it fits from. If there is no fear, it has no food, mainly.
Right.
So, and they do it also in a very, like, as we evolve, also the ways that they transmit the fear evolves. If we speak in French, then they will find ways in French to actually access to
Mhm.
that fear point. But
Mhm.
I do believe that, and I tell you, as someone who, ever since I was a little girl, they would be beings, not very beautiful ones, to say it somehow, that would come and just stare, but they wouldn't be able fully to come into my field. And then we come back again to the fact that, let's look at it at a quantum physics level. The highest frequency, which is not the highest, yet the most intense and vibrant, full of life, it's the 0 point energy.
Yeah.
And 0 point energy creates from this continuous compilation or communion in between all energies dancing together in harmony. And when we apply that very same force on us, and it then comes back the hologram, if I see matter, then only matter, I am attached to the form and all the thick information that was imprinted on it. If I see the hologram as you do, as we see light and so forth, then what we are connecting to is just frequency, energy, and vibration, and being able to go beyond those imprints. It's not easy. It's not easy. I have had rough experiences. I know you have, we all have. However, if we keep on um, that capability as children, to
Mhm.
see reality through that pure transmission of the eyes, then we can move forward and amplify our heart. And just to mention, like this code, I translated it 7 years ago,
Hmm.
and I call it the omnivision key. And now there are artifacts popping out with this very same code. And this code is related to the Council of Five. This is why I'm mentioning it. And I know that it will ring profoundly in you. And because the Council of Five, one of the things that they have done is traveling back and forward in time through our DNA,
Mhm.
and or seeing the fabric of space-time as DNA itself. So what they are doing by bringing all these artifacts and even the Buga sphere with that symbol is
Mhm.
connecting to an informational sphere that unifies many races, not only five of them, being them the main council. Yet all of the races that at some point chose to participate in this movement of bringing in the new earth, the new humanity,
Mhm.
and for every artifact that is coming to the surface, it's
Wow.
an imprint that they all did, awakening and signaling within our DNA
Right.
and the space-time fabric back and forward.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's just reminding me of my contact Kay. I know she does that too. I've seen like visions of her. She'll show me them going to different points in time and leaving artifacts for humanity. Uh, so that's just really, really incredible. And they'll be found as we are ready, as our consciousness is ready to receive it and receive that upgrade or transmission or whatever it may be, unlock the keys and codes that unlock our DNA. That's pretty incredible. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is, and it reminds me that you were also mentioning, and I think it was in your last podcast, about timelines, and splitting and so forth. How the space-time fabric can be very complex or interesting.
Yeah, I've been experiencing some shit this week. I don't know about you, but holy smoke.
Do you want to share a little bit of that?
Sure. Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. Well, this goes to okay, so the night it was the 999 portal, so September 9th was the first this first started coming up personally for me, where that fleet appeared, and I have a video of it that I posted. Right before that, though, all that day I kept hearing like timeline shift. There's a timeline shift, and then the fleet appears, which seems to be like a good thing, like something big happened, something big shifted, uh, because that was a big deal for a whole fleet to appear. It wasn't just one or two ships. Like, this was a whole fleet in the sky at the same time. It was pretty crazy. I've never seen anything like it in all my years doing C5 and UFO stuff. So that was the start of it. And then the Charlie Kirk thing happened. And that night, or it was the following night, I believe. No, it wasn't the September 11th. I think it was the day after. It was either September 11th or the day after, or the 12th. I experienced, suddenly I was just like, my energy was, I was exhausted. And then at midnight, I suddenly felt just zooted. That's been my favorite word lately, like zooted with energy. Like I'm like crazy. I could not sleep. I literally could not fall asleep till sunrise. But there was so much energy. Like I was seeing things moving around. I just felt it was weird. And I'm like, what's going on here? And then I felt a timeline split, and I had an experience whenever I asked, what's going on here, and I tuned into it. I felt and I saw my, like, me splitting from me and us going into two separate timelines. And one of the other timelines looked a bit more kind of convoluted, looked a bit more murky. And so I think this was a really massive trigger event that occurred this past week, along with other things. But that's like the talk around the world right now. It's making a very, very big ripple effect, and that split us into two different timelines. So I think this is the higher timeline, but we definitely need to. I mean, it's bringing a lot of people's demons out, and it's shaking things up. So I've had an uptick this past week of just seeing very strange things and experiencing very strange things. And the night before, last night was also weird. I had some pretty interesting experiences, but the night before that, I had another experience, and Tyler had an experience, and it was like a kind of a bleed through, like these other timelines or lower timelines, and plus they're messing with the timelines, and you've got the secret space programs and these pocket realities and all this other crazy stuff going on. But as the timeline is splitting, they seem to be collapsing. From my understanding, they collapse, and then we may experience a soul retrieval or a bleed through, where we may see a vision or experience emotions that aren't even necessarily ours from this timeline. I saw, I guess I won't name names, but somebody close to me had a very, very emotional experience that night, and I saw a vision of them in this kind of like medical setting. And it is just whole thing, this whole bleed through experience that they had. That was not this reality, but I believe they were having a soul retrieval experience, a bleed through. And as these other timelines collapse, it seems those soul fragments merge back with us so we can become more whole. And like I said, we may experience really crazy symptoms from that. One other thing that's been coming up, and I felt it last night and the night before, they were saying, I was hearing dimensional rifts in my head, like these kind of holes. And I don't know exactly what's causing this. I guess all of the merging of the timelines, and I guess merging of dimensions, but in parallel realities. But it was like porous. So there was all these different things coming through, like an open window. So that's why I was telling people in one of my shorts that I posted, I was like, shield up right now, not out of fear, but I don't know if anybody else is experiencing that, but I'm seeing energies like crazy. I also live in Sedona, so it might be a bit more amplified for me, but I don't know. A lot of other people are experiencing weird stuff as well, but I thought that was interesting. Like there's like dimensional rifts, they were saying. So there's just really strange stuff going on with the timeline. We're going through a lot of fluctuations right now.
Tell me about it. I was at that time in Las Vegas, so you can imagine how that went. Yeah, it was very interesting, to say it somehow, but yeah, yeah.
Holy smokes! I'd rather be in Sedona, I think, than Vegas during all that.
Absolutely. No, yeah, but yeah, by the second day I was just laughing. I was like, come on. But anyway, now that you're defining it that way, well, what you are sensing of, I fully agree. And how I say it is, imagine, because I always see that the space-time fabric, or the space memory network where all the timelines are, is our DNA, literally reflecting to one another. Every time that we shift a timeline, we are shifting a code within our DNA. This is why I was saying about the emerthers, how they navigate through the thresholds, or let's say through the filaments of our DNA, because they function through sonolocation, like
Mhm.
dolphins, like whales. They might communicate through words, but their work is mainly through that. So
Wow.
they are very much behind the upgrade that it's happening, collectively speaking, about the fourth state of the water. And
Mhm.
in order to be capable as a humanity to structure our water as much as we can through hydrogen, and creating more, let's say, coherent connections with the space memory network, mainly, in other words, upgrading our water templates to their present state, how they began, which brings our more plasma to our body, higher levels of coherence, and so forth. And even when you say that you felt the timelines splitting, what I was saying is, it's like even our DNA, when it starts to replicate, it splits. Then
Mhm.
parts of them are left behind. RNA comes, and it starts all that process. And the
Mhm.
timelines that were compressed, as protected or shielded for any given reason, are
Mhm.
now being brought to be part of that next uh, segment of our DNA, you
Mhm.
know? So, and now, how regarding to memory, and how these rifts that you have been feeling, the way that we create memory is through ripples, literally, in our brain. We're
Mhm.
continuously creating ripples. The thing is that those ripples were contained in the algorithm of the simulation. We were not going beyond that algorithm, so there were contained ripples. Now that we are going beyond that algorithm, that automatized uh, encoding, then we are shaking through to generate that bridge beyond the algorithm, and
I feel
that's
the shaking.
yeah, it's a good way to say it.
Yeah. So we're shaking. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, 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 you're not interrupting at all. So now, with all those, where they, like, let's say, we can look at as huge black hole, wormholes that are connecting to
Yeah.
somewhere.
Right.
Um, that somewhere is pure, but they are trying to imprint. It's so intense that they are using that intensity that we're experiencing to feel or to move through fear. And I'm talking about the collective, not with the 3i atlas, whether if it's going, like following the blue beam project and so forth, the blue beam agenda. And because they are using all that motion to breach, like the wave distribution of fear, and trying to settle in back again in our consciousness, bringing us back to the algorithm. So these are moments where we actually, it's very important for us to play the full card, like,
Oh.
yeah.
Cutie.
Yeah, his name is Ninja.
What's his
Speaking
name?
of Ninja,
Oh,
he's
cute.
hardcore. So
Oh,
speaking of which,
that's awesome.
yeah, yeah. And now, speaking of 3i Atlas, what you also mentioned the connection to the Lyrans.
Mhm.
I would love to know more about it.
Yeah, so this I was not expecting at all. Like when Three Eye Atlas first came onto the scene, and you see these glamorized articles, and then people are like, "Oh, there's a spaceship heading towards Earth," and you've got then people saying there's a space invasion. That's gonna be here by November. I'm like, how dramatic! They're so dramatic. But I thought it was like I thought maybe it could have been like a psyop or just nothing at first. So it actually took me a couple of weeks to actually like look into it. And whenever I did a session on it, so I get into that like 0 point field. And well, I tuned in a little bit first, and then I heard friends. It's friends. So I was like, oh, okay, so there's something to this. And then a little bit later, I did a full kind of like, it's almost like a remote viewing slash like clairvoyant. I connect to the quantum field, and then I have my, my guides and stuff there with me too. So kind of a combination that how I get my information. But what I saw was something I was not expecting, and that was that a bunch of different beings were involved in this, and it feels ancient, and it feels to either be ancient itself or has some sort of ancient technology on it. But I think it's ancient itself. And I was seeing Lyran feline beings using like their handprints to open certain like corridors or unlock certain things within the ship that contained like this quantum information that was going to be interacting with our DNA. And
Hmm.
and the reason why, because at first I'm like, okay, if this is a spaceship, then why is it coming in like slow? Like, what is it just going to do, a drive by, or like, what's the deal? Because, they can travel through wormholes, they can blip in and out. So that also made me just wonder. Now I understand from what they showed me, and in science is seeing it also, it's interacting with the sun. And so it's literally the energy of it as it's getting closer. It is just interacting with us in our solar system and the sun, which the sun is a big part of the ascension process. So this seemed to be, there's many different beings involved, what I saw, but it is very much highlighting some Lyran codes that are contained on the ship or within the ship that is going to be interacting and helping us to remember and reactivate dormant parts of our DNA. So I'm feeling very called to, and after I did that session, like I see the Lyran sometimes, and yes, I do feel connected to them. I've had some past lifetime memories, but they're not like my main people that I talk to, but I do see them, here and there. But after I did that session, like I felt them so strong, and I've been feeling them so strong that I'm like, wow. And you feel their energy, and it feels royal. It feels regal, like not I'm better than you, but just in their power, ancient, strong, and wise. And it's like a divine blueprint. And I believe that a lot of us, like I explained in the video too, well, we've got Lyran DNA, but also we descend from Lyra, right? Because Lyra was the original humanoid race in our galaxy. But a lot of us have past lifetime connections. Almost everybody that I do readings for, which I do them, I used to do Akashic readings a lot. I learned a lot through doing those sessions. Most people lived in Lyra or have some sort of a connection. And you've got the Lyra and Draco War, which we are still experiencing today, basically, the remnants of it. It seems to be just reactivating something in us, helping us to remember, who we truly are, and also activating these more gifts. Like, I don't know, whenever I connect with them and the energy that is bringing in, I definitely feel like quantum upgrades. Like I feel more multidimensional and more tapped in, and their presence has just been very strong. So that's what I've gotten so far on it.
Yeah, I agree. I can see that, and moreover, like I was doing a show with JP, a few days ago, almost about a week ago,
Mhm.
and we were talking about the tech involving specific spaceships, even the ones that are in Earth. Like the one in Bermuda
Mhm.
Triangle, and even the ones that are in the moon. And I bring the moon, and I bring that because I will do like a live um, video showing the book, because on one side you have the lion, and
Yeah.
on the other side you have the Mayan representation of the moon.
Well,
So for me, what it's also showing is that, on to some extent, we are receiving plasma, lunar plasma, not directly from it as source, yet the plasma that it's coming from the sun hitting into the moon and then directing to us through that magnetic field exchange or electromagnetic field exchange.
Right.
And the more that we tune into like the purity of those codes, of those plasma codes, the more that even that frequency will enable and help us to activate very specific Lyran codes.
Mhm.
Why? Because let's say that throughout all this tech, the Boogosphere, these codes, the artifacts, the spaceships, and so forth, they have a unified technology that now this ship is going to activate onto to the next level.
Yes. Right.
Yes, yes, because even the names of how you activate through the frequency of the voice, those spaceships are similar to one another. One example, uh, Akuria Mate,
Mhm.
Aknachtun. So Akna, so this frequency, how I'm saying it is that each Stargate, each spaceship, each artifact is in resonance to that blueprint. And once you name it, you're creating this symphony,
Mhm.
is activating that grid. I'm not saying they're all going to fly off at the same time. No, activate them. It's going to activate that grid, that melodical grid, so that they can actually start signaling their codes into the human's grid that is connected to the pyramids, that is connected to other temples, to dolmens, to stone circles, crop circles,
Mhm.
and so forth. So for me, the 3i Atlas is also going to bring that, like that click. Once it fully aligns to the sun, even though we won't be able to fully see it, we will be creating like this eclipse, like this full alignment
Right.
that the solar codes will be, like imprinting, and it will be tuning into the lunar codes into a level that they are both aligned. This is why also the lunar eclipse was now, because as we know, is the moment where
Right.
Earth, Moon, and Sun are aligned. So huge things happen there. So that now, when this happens, the lunar codes are, let's say, easygoing
Mhm.
for the solar transmission to happen within our molecular structure of the water. And another thing that I was tuning into is that it's 3i Atlas, because it's exactly. and, and
I didn't even realize that at first, and then somebody else said that, and I'm like, "Oh my god, yes. That's it." Just from the symptoms I was experiencing just from doing a reading on it, it really connected me with the energy of it, and it stayed with me for days. These Lyran beings too, like, stayed with me, and I could hear them so clear. I don't always hear voices, but I could hear their voices, and, but what I was experiencing, just a heightened awareness. Third eye. Makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. And there is now people that it's going to say not only that it is a negative, that could be a negative invasion, respecting all forms of perception, yet that it's a plot from, let's say, other factions that are trying to, that it's their own technology, and they are trying to put this out so that the full disclosure movement goes,
Mhm.
which, however it is, regardless, we are stepping up to full disclosure, that's
Right.
imminent. And I don't know if you have ever tuned into very specific black holes, because the 3i Atlas also, it's bringing to me that it's related to the black hole, the closer black holes to Earth, which is the one in Ophiuchus, the one in Aquila, and the one in Centauri.
Yeah.
So it's like they are energetically using also that gravitational wave field
Right.
to harness all the codes that are uh, happening right now and that will be happening.
Right. Yeah, that's really interesting. I felt a big calling towards black holes. Um, and there was a while there, well, it was around really like January, in the last like 6, 7 months. I don't even know how long ago that was. Around that time period, I was getting a lot of messages about black holes in the ascension process. Um, Again, I may not I may not have the words to describe what the downloads that I'm getting, but I'll try to portray it. But what I was getting is the black hole. We were receiving quantum information from it, and that was like feeding into our sun. I was seeing like a trifecta between the black hole, the sun, and us and our DNA. But also, I was seeing one of the other downloads was it depended on how we were ready, like we were the trigger to allow that to come in. So, like, as within, so without.
Mhm, mhm.
So it was very much connected and symbiotic. But that's really fascinating, and it reminds me of the movie Interstellar, where at the end he goes into the black hole, and I'm like, oh my god, that's it. That resonated so deeply. I don't know much about the quantum mechanics of it. I can understand it to an extent. I don't know if I have the words, but I do feel very connected to it, and I could see that 100% uh, playing a role in interacting with Three Eye Atlas as well. Like I was getting the same downloads about that playing a major role in our ascension process, and it containing a lot of quantum information.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. For me, the black hole tech is critical in our development, in our biological development at every moment, every time that we are creating oxytocin, endorphins, memory, like our mitochondria, the synapses, call it, and to some extent, the protons are tiny black holes. The
Hmm.
moment that we are being taught that black holes are this massive sucking forces of light, that there is no feedback or exchange with
Right. It's
material.
empty, and it's sucking everything up, and it will kill you.
Exactly. And then it's a reflection, when you have someone that only wants to take and to take and to take from you, It's like, but
Yeah.
that's how, let's say, sublimely they configure the reality, taking the foundations of something that it is and imprint it negatively in the human consciousness, behave like a distorted black hole. And then here comes the person, like trying to absorb and vampire, like
Yeah.
someone's field and so forth. So
Yeah.
that's when it gets me to think more and more and feel how everything that we approach to negatively, it's a distortion. It's a limited perception of the wholeness. So right now with these black hole networks, like if we are aware that we are interconnected through the black holes tech, at a cosmic level, how much information can we bring in through, you
Right.
know it's like, okay, I'm tuning into my
Infinite.
black hole network, starting from here. Okay, then bringing this archive, bringing this information, the level of clairvoyance, the level of coherence within that clarividence, that we would be bringing, it's highly effective, highly effective. And just like now with the upcoming months and years, like I don't know if you have heard about the meteorite in 2029.
Mm-mm. No.
Well, Greg Braden has great research on this that says that on 2029 there will be a meteorite that they have named Apophis, like
Oh,
in
whoa.
cosmology. Yeah, yeah. For the ones that don't know, I will just be very brief on the cosmology of this. Apophis is this huge serpent that the in which the solar arc, which is very symbolic as well, the solar arc. You can call it our own nature, call it the Earth's nature, call however you want to name it. It's Set, Horus, Anubis, and other beings, Neteru, named God and goddesses, deities, come together, work together as a team, and then they go beyond Apophis' intervention, trying to blow apart the ark or tumble down the ark, that is heading to Orion. So for me, we found some recent artifacts that have that scene, like an ancient ET skull that is like 60 centimeters, not 60 meters, 60 centimeters long, 1 meter, about so, and that has all this story,
Wow.
engraved in it. No, it's impressive. And it has, so this is when, and I was talking with Tyler about this, this is when I know that all of these artifacts as well are the result of traveling back and forward interdimensionally, you know? It's like, okay, you opened up to this timeline. Okay, we're funneling in now the information, or we're outloading from that hyperspace the information, creating a reality.
Whoa. I just got kind of like, the porous holes that I've been seeing, the dimensional rifts. There's shoop, 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 shoop. Beams and other random stuff is coming through, but there's also very intentional stuff coming through. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
And yeah, it's coming. It's coming together. And now that you mentioned that, perhaps that's also why I have been seeing, like all these black spectrums, not as entities, yet as much as I see, like orbs and particles of light, I've also get to see, like this um balls, spectrums, like
Mhm.
of blackness, and there is a lot coming, a lot.
Wow.
Not that I see what it's coming through, but I can feel the intensity of it. But now yeah, connected some dots together as well. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. That's what we're here for.
Yeah,
Connecting all these dots. Put
yeah,
all
yeah.
pieces to the puzzle. That's really interesting about some of these artifacts traveling back and forth through time and all of that. Yeah, that's just fascinating. Tyler had me do a kind of like a little tune in to something on what was it? Oak Island, I think.
Hmm.
And I think it was what was on Oak Island, maybe it was something else. But whenever I tuned in, I saw that what they were looking for wasn't there yet, but it was gonna be put there or, it would appear whenever basically at a certain time or whenever we were ready. But
Hmm.
whatever they were looking for, like, literally is not it's not physically there right now. I don't it might have been Oak Island, it might have been something else he had me look into. This was about a year ago. What was it? Okay, it was Oak Island. Yeah, I was thinking it wasn't there yet. And then I don't know if this was the same thing or maybe it was something different, but it was, I saw it was actually being held in a base,
Hmm.
and then it would be transported back whenever humanity was ready to, find it, essentially.
Hmm. Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. And this is how I feel it. In the beginning, it was really hard to put into words what I was feeling every time that we find an artifact. And, like for instance, this one with I've been showing this one, which I deeply and love.
Wow. Goodness gracious.
I know.
Now, who do you think's depicted there?
It's a queen, what people would call goddess, and she's a queen from Sirius,
Okay.
um, but it's very much in Orion now, because she is also like serving as breach with the Council of Five,
I was
and
hearing Orion, or I heard Orion whenever I was just kind of trying to get a read on it, some sort of Orion connection.
yeah, she's an Orion now, actually.
Wow.
But she has Assyrian genetics,
Mm.
but yeah, but now she's in Orion, and she's serving as a bridge, let's say, in between Earth and the Council of Five, because when it comes to Orion codes, as we are so much used and familiar to those codes, even if someone feels that they are not, they're so imprinted in this reality that then when they make themselves present, it's not as noticed as let's say someone from Cetus and a Merther, like immediately you don't fully are familiar to that
Right.
frequency.
Yeah, yeah.
So she's being that bridge, actually bringing a lot of information through the black holes that are being created through those ripples in time, and with the purpose of, from all the artifacts that are encoded with that Council of Five frequency. And I just want to say, when I say Council of Five, it's not only about five races, it's about five races before, like in the beginning, there were nine, which is also a code embedded in ancient textbooks through Xibalba, Halls of Amenti, and so forth, with their variations as time goes by. But
Mhm.
the essence is the same, and then turned into five. And when they started to see the probability, the field of probabilities within Earth, then they came up with that plan so that all these artifacts would be popping up now and resource. So everyone that came along with that plan started encoding their
Mhm.
own uh, purest form,
Right.
because in the end, or in the beginning, it's all embedded in our DNA.
Right.
So
And we're just that combination of so many different races and things. So,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, this was one of the artifacts that I saw, like, whoa, like, how is it really happening? Like, even when we go and excavate, that the people has been there and nothing has popped out, and then we go and all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom.
Wow.
And then I attribute to that to coordinates, like you're just being in full coherence with the coordinates that are sending to you. And I'm not just saying in a very evident manner as the place, talking about frequency, the people, time,
Yeah.
bringing all those aspects together.
Right. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, that's amazing.
What about the places that you have been, like, perhaps not excavated there, but
Mhm.
you were mentioning Shasta, you were mentioning like Sedona itself. I love Sedona, also Shasta.
Mhm. Yeah, Sedona's pretty wild. Sedona is an amplifier for sure. I actually had a rough time the first few times I was in Sedona, and then it kinda smoothed out. But it is a very beautiful place, and as I really felt the last time that I, visited near the end of the trip, I was already looking for a place to move, and I was thinking about Flagstaff, which is an hour north of, Sedona. The energy is a little bit lighter there, but it's still very mystical. There's a huge mountain there. Had a lot of Sasquatch experiences and stuff there. But, the land, like, welcomed me, and near the end of the last trip, and I just felt this massive shift and, like, a calling, like, a big calling, like, "No, this is where I need to go." Um, and Sedona is like, I was getting a lot of downloads. I began communicating with guardians of the land once I spent some time here, and inner earth beings. There's actually a pretty heavy inner earth presence here. And working with just kind of getting downloads about the land. Like I put some of this in my presentation for rebels and made little graphics on it. But these ancient Native American ancestors, I found I had I experienced some soul retrieval here. Part of the reason why I was called here, I'd been here on two sides of this coin as inner earth beings coming up and giving humanity information and wisdom, and then also from the other side being a Native American in this land. So they started talking to me, and that was a really profound connection. But they've
Wow.
had me like going to these different sites and kind of like tuning them, or there's one specific site near one of the vortexes that we stumbled across. I had a very profound, like I just started crying. And that's where I saw it used to be an earth entrance, and it's this really interesting rock formation. And it's kind of hidden off the path. It's near Cathedral Rock. And it was part of a whole network, a tunnel and like portal network. But the front of it just looks like a very interesting rock formation. Like it almost looks like it could be a cave. And but it's not like a cave. It's just interesting rock. And that's where I had this recall. I recorded some of it as I was getting it, but I would come up. It's not active right now, or it wasn't. It was basically when things started getting dangerous or whatever, or it was corrupted. This portal network is what I was picking up on, and it had been inactivated. So I was working with it. We went there a few times. I should probably go back and check up on it. But we were kind of helping to tune it and repair it and fix it. And that connects to the grid and connects to like a whole portal system that goes down. So that was a really interesting thing in Sedona. Some of the other downloads I was getting here was of an ancient war that happened here, laser weapons, some sort of like laser technology that destroyed and kind of scorched the earth. They were showing me that, and like the Native American ancestor spirits were showing me that. And they said
Wow.
the Anunnaki made this place, is what they said. The Anunnaki made this place. And so I've been learning a bit about that. I've never been big into Anunnaki. I actually avoided learning anything about the Anunnaki until about the past year. Then it started coming up because there's a lot of rich history there, and there's positive and negative.
Yeah.
But very much so. And whenever I went to Egypt, I was getting a lot of downloads about that and like Anunnaki hybrids. And there's a very tight control system in Egypt. It's so sacred. It's so powerful. There's other realities stacked. Like it's still occupied. These some of these sites, Karnak was one that I went to where I saw Lyran beings, feline beings, just walking around. And I was getting the download like they're still here. They're just in another frequency, but they are still using this. So it looks kind of destroyed in like old ruins to us in this density, but in other realms, it's still very active, and there's still other things going on. Mount Shasta is fantastic. I always come back transformed whenever I go. I go there each summer, and I do the last 2 summers I've done a retreat there where we go to different sites. And Mount Shasta, have you been to Mount Shasta before?
Yes, I have. And
Oh, I
also
love
have
it.
had this. I actually was blessed enough to being taken to Telos.
Mhm.
I went to the Heart Lake. I just felt the calling, start swimming with my clothes on, being cold at the center. And then, yeah, I ran into like a very important breach physically,
Mm,
which
mhm.
was very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, Mount Shasta is, incredible. The energy there is much softer. It's like I say it's like Mother Mary giving you a hug. Like, it's soft. Like,
Beautiful.
Sedona is very fiery, and then, very solar plexus, very charged, can be very intense, but can also be soft and beautiful. Kinda depends, and it also amplifies what amplifies you, what you're going through and what you need. So if you've got some traumas and things that you have to work through, it's going to accelerate and amplify that process so you can get done a lot more. It might not be as fun because it can be intense sometimes, but you'll just accomplish things. And then Mount Shasta is, it's a bit more softer, elemental, ascended masters, angels, plus the inner earth beings, of course. We had some profound experiences with the inner earth beings there, and you can, meditate at these different sites where, we may not be able to see the entrance, but just in that next frequency or dimension, there is an entrance right there, and they can interact with you, and you can still feel it. You can still you can feel it physically or energetically. Sometimes they're surrounding you. You may not see them because they're just the frequency next. They're like the radio station next up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're all around you. So you can have some very profound experiences and travel there through your consciousness too. We went down into some inner earth temples and things like that and experienced some profound healing and activations while we were there this past summer. And one other experience I'll share that happened at Castle Crags, which is near, in Mount Shasta, not on the mountain, but near it. I just felt really called to going there. And it's these stones that looks like a castle. Basically, it's called Castle Crags. We went up to the top, and whenever we got up there, I was hearing, it's empty up here. It's empty up here. This is more of an antenna, these stone spikes and stuff. They're like all the meat of everything, and the super crazy energetic stuff is down in the forest underneath. So I thought that was interesting. You'd think it would be at the top, you want to get up to the top, but really like the meat of it was like down below. And we ran into a couple different portals and Sasquatch portals where the tools that we had were going crazy. Some people saw it and felt Sasquatch. I had an experience where on the way back down, suddenly I started feeling like I was in two places at once. And if everything felt like surreal. And I heard in my mind pterodactyl. And then I looked up and I saw a pterodactyl flying over us above the trees.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like, I've heard of people seeing pterodactyls. And I'm like, that sounds crazy. But no, like there are really pterodactyls flying around here sometimes. But I think I was experiencing like a bleed through, like there was a version of me in inner earth or in this other parallel reality that I was straddling these two different realities. So for a few seconds, I looked up and I saw it with my eyes open. And so that was really interesting. So you'll experience like weird kind of fluctuations and bleed throughs of different dimensional realities in those sorts of places. So it's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I was living in Egypt for 4 years. And just before going there, like what I wanted to say, when I went in swimming all the way, of course, I cannot share specific details due to, evident reasons, regarding to the beings there due to out of respect. But I can see how the deeper we go, the sacred it gets. We were taught that enlightenment is ahead of us, like in a very linear form, up above us. However, the more that I walk this path, it's the deeper we go within. It's the enlightenment that we get. Deep that in the darkness, in that black hole is that's where we reach the singularity and that enlightenment. Because the other side is the white hole, So and I had a very beautiful experience there, with those waters. And it's a whole story. Perhaps I will tell you in another time. But I just wanted to bring like a lot of gratitude to that land, to be to be fair to what I have exchanged with it.
With
So
Egypt?
in Mount Shasta.
Shasta. Okay. Mount
Yeah,
Shasta.
no, in Egypt, no, like 4 years. Can you imagine everything that I saw and experienced?
Oh yeah, I
That's
mean,
the tip of the Lyran's very active there.
right.
What I see a lot. I remember that I was in Sinai and I took a group with me we were about to climb St. Catherine, which is the highest mountain in all Egypt. And we went back and forward 2 times, like people that is not very physically fit and going up and down because randomly the Bedouins that are super acknowledged, like they are masters in that, they do that all the time. They go up in the mountain in sandals. You can have an idea with that. So they wouldn't find a way. They were surprised, like, we are not finding, where is it? And then when we had already settled at some point that wasn't the peak, we started connecting, and all of a sudden these blue plasma beings came,
Hmm.
and they all saw it, we all saw it, which was also very majestic, because you get like, no, just one or two saw them. No, we all saw them. So that
Wow.
was like a very neat contact that we have.
Wow.
And in Dendera also, there is a very active city there connecting to the mountains network all the way to Abydos. In Abydos, there is a very important portal related to the Lyrans.
Oh.
And yeah, I don't know what you experience in Abydos, but yeah, it's so guarded that no one wants to go there. No
Hmm.
one wants to go there because they are very aware that if you're not embodying the right frequency, bad things can happen to you. So you need to be, like, coming from the space of the heart in order to
Hmm.
actually access to the portal.
Wow.
So, and this message comes over and over and over again, like in Sedona, as you said. Once I got there, I was speaking to the guardians, and they were showing to me some inner earth cities, and I agreed. There's a connection to the Anunnaki, as well as many places in Sedona and in Arizona and in Nevada. um, we have even the Red Canyon, that has also all those Sumerian, what we would call Sumerian artifacts that they have sealed now, that you
Oh
cannot
yeah.
go there anymore. But it's
Right.
very
Yeah.
much connected. And
Mhm.
what the message, one of the messages was, be the vortex,
Mm.
be the vortex,
Mm.
and yeah, and it was quite smooth throughout, because I could see people like really being triggered or having a difficult time with this and that. And
Mhm.
I I it confirmed me, like, coming from a unity consciousness, we just need to be activating that technology within us, and then,
Mhm.
mimetizing, or thriving the
Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's a good point. And we are the portal, right? Bringing all of this in. That's a beautiful message.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I love how they are very clear and like short words, very precise, concrete message.
Yeah, sometimes we try to make it overcomplicated and they're like,
Oh.
just this look, listen. Yeah,
I know. You reminded me of once a message that they have given me, like, very beautiful, like a phrase. And there
Mhm.
was me, like, trying to put more words, and it just didn't work. I said, okay, fine. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, I mean, I've been having like a beautiful time sharing with you. I know that there are so many things that will be coming up,
Mhm.
actually. Um, a lot of messages. I do believe that Orion is meant to move forward into the ninth consciousness, or the ninth density, bringing it, or connecting with that level of consciousness of Orion, and even of many planets, Saturn, um, Jupiter, Venus, and so forth, in
Mhm.
order to receive that support that will balance what we are going through as a collective. Because if we keep on tuning into Orion at a lower density, with Orion's war, and the nebula of Orion, this and that, it's very important. Yeah, we know about that. Yet what reality are we creating now? So with all this power, to what timeline or spatiotemporal constant are we routing to, with our hearts?
Right.
So that's a huge message as well. Orion saying, as a consciousness, saying, hey, tune into me from the ninth consciousness or from the ninth density, then you will see why I am so important, beyond warfares or whatever,
Right.
the true needed essence of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That is a good message. Because I tend to just avoid Orion because of that. But that's a great message. I agree with that. All right, I'll have to try that. I'll have to give it a chance.
Yeah, let me know. Then you can complain with me, like send me your feedback, like your message sucked, or tell me, no, it was a good message.
I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know how it
Yeah, yeah.
goes.
Okay, Lily. Well, it will be lovely to have you at some point again. How can people find you?
They can find me. Well, my website is lilynovacontact.com. And I'm very active on YouTube, Lily Nova Starseed. I do Sunday updates, so I go over different things. I have tons of meditations also and different content on there. And Instagram, lilynova.official. And those are kind of the most places. I'm also active on Facebook as well. So, but yeah,
Okay.
I post on YouTube a lot. So, and then my website is lilynovacontact.com. And I actually want to plan a Lyran transmission soon. I haven't set the date or anything on that yet, but kind of like a workshop / transmission. But I do have other like DNA activations and other things on my website and YouTube channel, a lot of free resources.
Nice, nice. Before I was speaking over and over again. Yeah, I'm going to show an image, a video of the book, and I haven't shared a thing. But let me show to you the cover.
Oh, goodness.
I know that it will bring you like a lot of information. So
Wow.
yeah, I will share. I will just add myself to. Oh, hmm. I'm going to.
Oh, can't. Oh, there we go.
I don't know.
I think just mute one of them. Wow. Oh my goodness. I'm seeing emerald green. I'm seeing an emerald green stone, like a jewel, but this is like multi-dimensional. That goes with it, or will it be interacting with it? Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. What up?
Yeah, and that's only the cover. I will be sending to you a video. Yeah, it's a Lyran being.
Wow. I
Yeah.
saw an emerald. As soon as you flashed that, I saw with my third eye an emerald green jewel. And I've been seeing this emerald green jewel a lot. And I feel like it's somehow interacting with it or exchanging information with it or is connected in some way.
Yeah,
Emerald
now
green.
Yeah.
What's that?
That before having the live, I was tuning into information, and why is that these artifacts have a green luminescence,
Oh, do they?
like the color of the moldavite, or what we would call as the emerald tablets.
Yeah.
So the thing is that when they are in that color, then they are reflecting back at us what we would be like the gray color, like the 12 spectrum of light that
Mhm.
that they related to the Atlantean tech, and that's why they got into the 12 frequencies and unfolding the DNA, beginning with the 12 like strands,
Mhm.
because they access to that 12 tone, which is the counterpart of the green.
Right.
And if you see that green, when you said that, I saw it, and I
Ah,
even saw it in the lion, which is very interesting because it doesn't have one, but I could see it.
like multidimensional, I think, or interdimensional or something. But it's yeah, it's got other dimensional properties.
Yeah, yeah.
Or it's
Well,
quantum entangled to it.
yes, it is. And there is a lot. I don't know if you have tuned into to the hard disks, like the solar disks, yet the hard disks.
Mm-mm.
Because the hard disks has been information that has come to me through Lyran, saying that there are 12 hard disks planted on Earth that actually amplify the heart vortex. So we
Mm.
know that the green is related to the heart chakra
Right.
and so forth. So
Yeah, well, that would make sense. Green's been coming up so much, and I'm like, why, why green? But then, and I know a little bit about the Emerald Order. That's been coming up for me a lot the past couple of years, and that feels just like a very, very ancient order. Like, I don't want to say creator, maybe architect type
yeah,
beings,
yeah,
and that makes sense. That I mean, the heart is the key. They always say that, so it would match. It would match. If you break it down very simply, that makes sense.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
You have
Good,
to make
good.
it simple.
I always say at some point I really just want to do a show speaking in light language, going back and forward and see how that does that go.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't do light language like other languages, although back in Shasta, for the first time ever, I started feeling like like different tones, like noises starting to come up. And I was like, I'm not going to do that right now. Like we're in public. But that was the first time it started come through. I do the humming though. So you can do light language and then I'll do like hum toning.
Okay. Awesome.
I can.
Yeah, see how that goes. I'm quite sure that it will be enjoyable. And if not, we just don't do it again.
It'll activate you. That's for sure. Mhm.
Yeah, I will send to you the inner part of the book. I know that you will receive a lot of information. It has
Yeah.
a very interesting form of writing that it's in motion. It just projects holographically and it starts to interact with the field. I mostly activate it through the very same frequencies of my voice. So I
Okay.
started to read it through frequencies because you will see, it's like it uses angles, like
Mhm.
a lot of angles, and they are moving, so they project. And that's one of the things why I find that language would stay so pure,
Mhm.
because they were using patterns, like universal patterns, very pure ones. It's not like now, you know
Yeah.
we also use angles, but it's way different.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That's amazing. Yeah, I'm looking forward to connecting with that.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I
That's
know. I know. I told you there are many things that will be coming now, from now all the way to 3i Atlas. A lot of Lyran codes that are meant to be, spread and anchored to solar disks and these artifacts. But someone mentioned feeling thought. This book and also another book with thought came through. you know.
Wow.
And that book is also, this is a
Soap
very,
is my homie.
oh, then I will send to you also the image.
I
You
would
will,
love
yeah,
I
I
would
love,
love
yeah, yeah.
that.
There are different versions of the Houthi. He's a homie as well. We have shared very neat experiences, and you and I as well. It will be funny when we fully remember it all.
Yeah, for sure. I
Are-
can't wait to see what happens.
yeah, yeah, likewise. Are there any words that you want to say to the beautiful tribe joining us tonight?
Let's see. I would say like we're in a very potent window right now, and just, I mean, going down to the basics, reciting what you want to co-create and manifest. It's been very powerful for me, and it sounds so simple, but I've really been going back to those simple practices the past couple of weeks, and it's manifested like really magical things. Things have really began to just turn around for me personally, and I'll leave one mantra that I was saying for a bit, and that was my perfect divine embodiment already exists, and
Mm.
I'm embodying it now. So that concludes or contains like all of it, right? Your multidimensional DNA activated, your gifts activated, your perfect health, you feeling inspired, you feeling energized, whatever your perfect divine embodiment is, your highest path, and then just claiming that and embodying it now. I think right now is a really potent time to just set those intentions and create that, especially with 3i Atlas coming in. Claim those Lyran codes, claim your divine codes, your divine blueprint, however you want to word it, and just repeat that for a few days. Go through like a whole list before bedtime, and it's crazy. Like me and Tyler did that, and he manifested, like we set intentions to find his perfect place, and he manifested an amazing home within a couple days. So just like magic is happening whenever you can do that.
Yeah, yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's so funny. It doesn't surprise me anymore. It's so funny still. I always say that phrase that I'm the highest or the most evolved expression of myself right here, right now.
That's
And
huge.
when people ask me, I say this because then you are integrating it all, like being the most evolved expression of yourself,
Yeah.
capable to be embodied in a physical body, or well,
Right.
in this vessel, of course. Otherwise you would become a star right away, and then perhaps that's not what
Right.
you're meant to embody right now. But
Yeah.
yeah,
You turn
yeah.
into Lucy from the movie and just go back to the universe or become the universe.
I, I know, where is Isha, where is Lily? Oops, I think I went a little bit too far.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, I want to say thank you everyone for your comments, for nourishing this transmission, this live transmission. Thank you, Lily, for being here, for sharing your wisdom, knowledge. I know that we will be sharing more codes based on everything that has come now through the field.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that these are moments of encouragement, not of weakness. And the more that we focus on that which we are, and that we, as Lily was saying, choose to manifest, the more that we are using our energy coherently. Because in the end, or in the beginning, everything translates to energy. And if we want to be that neat expression of memory, serving the highest purpose, planetary and interplanetary wise, it's
Mhm.
important to be there for us. And to be there for us is trusting in ourselves, loving
Mhm.
ourselves. So, having said this, you know where to find me. Join us in the rise. The rise of the Guardians next year, 2025, and more immediate next.
You need next month? Next month?
Yeah, next month. Yeah, I went like told you. I
Your
was,
timeline jumping.
I know. I know. I mean, I was already going to 2026, but but next month in at the Bridge Expo, in Dallas from the 17th to the 19th of October. We have really cool news for all of you. We will be sharing with you the next stage that we are coming in together. And that is very exciting. So if you also like, I mean, one of the aspects of the conference, there will also be amazing speakers unifying science and spirituality. And it's always a beautiful opportunity to feel at home, to feel with your tribe. And Lily knows that, you know, with all the conferences that you do, one of the things that I cherish the most of this event is coming united, you know, with your tribe, with the
Right.
tribe. Yeah. So having said this, until next time, thank you, Lily, sending a big hug, heart to heart.
Thank you.
And thank you to you all. See you soon. And bye.
Bye.